Well, congrats on your second trip to Rodeo Houston. It's a little bit different this time around, though, I guess, with opening up rodeo. How does it feel to kick the big show off?
Well, I don't know yet, but I'll find out here shortly. But it's such a crazy thing to actually sit back and think about doing. And the day, last year when we arrived at the rodeo, you get off, you go to sleep on the bus so many nights on tour. You wake up, you get off wherever you are, you play the show, you go on, kind of rinse, wash, and repeat. And then one day you get off and you're playing in NRG Stadium, headlining Houston Rodeo. And it's like, it's the most, it's just an indescribable feeling that is so overwhelming, but so humbling at the same time. And to get to do it a second time and to get to do it on opening night, I didn't think it could get any better or any more special before. And so the fact that it is, I'm grateful for that.
It's less of an intimate experience than I guess what you're used to playing shows on the road right now. How do you connect with the crowd in a stadium of 70,000 people?
You can hear them. It's a little bit of a delay just because they are so far away and there's so many of them. By far, the most people, I think the most we've done just on our own is 20 or 25,000. And so that's a big jump to 70,000. But that, it being 70,000, you can hear them and you can feel them. And, the phone lights are a pretty good indication if it's going well, if there's a bunch of those up. But it's such an indescribable feeling being on stage in a venue, where my favorite football team plays that I've watched growing up. I've been to countless games there throughout my childhood. And then for one night, I get it all to myself. So it's crazy.
Yeah. You grew up going to rodeo. Do you have a favorite performer or a favorite concert that you went to as a kid?
The one I remember above all was Pat Green Sold It Out when I was just a little kid. And my brother and I were huge fans of his. And it had to have been 2003, maybe 2004, I want to say, somewhere around there. So I was only, 10 or 11 years old. And my brother and I were huge fans. And my mom took us down there to see Texas singer-songwriter Pat Green play the Houston Rodeo. And I can remember that night just thinking about doing it and just watching Pat Green do what he was doing and thinking, for some reason at 11 years old, I feel like I could do that too. And so that was really what, kind of inspired that to be a dream and a goal of my own to play the Houston Rodeo. I remember it well.
That's awesome. If you could walk around rodeo for the day, kind of incognito mode with Hallie Ray or with your family, where would you go? What would you eat?
I'd probably get a funnel cake. I feel like, it's probably a sin to go to any rodeo or fair and not get a funnel cake. But last year when we played it, and I hadn't been in several years. I'm usually touring right through the rodeo. I don't ever have time to go to concerts or anything like that anymore. And so I was like, man, this is the first time I've been to this thing in several years, and we were playing it. And I just had no time to do anything but work that day. I mean, it was from the moment I went, got up till I went to bed, it was boom, boom, boom all day. Mm-hmm. So hopefully this year we'll actually get to walk around and check some stuff out.
Yeah, hope so. You are coming up on your 1-year wedding anniversary. So how was the first year of married life?
It's as good as it could get right now. I got so lucky with Hallie Ray and finding somebody who was willing to put up with the insane schedule that I carry throughout the entire calendar year. And she does it so well, and was raised so, we were raised the right way, I believe, and she was raised so similarly to the way that I was. And I think that makes a big difference, but I got real lucky. 1 year's been good.
It seems like your new single sort of about on being on the road and being away from the one you love, right?
A little bit. I've written so many sad country love songs about everything going terribly wrong. And she's never really said a whole lot about it, but she's like, is there ever going to be one that is not about you breaking somebody's heart or somebody breaking your heart or whatever it is? And so I said, man, maybe I'll write one about, not leaving and not doing that whole thing.
Yeah, I like it a lot. I just listened to it a couple days ago, and you just announced your new album, right? Never Enough, coming soon. Can you tell us anything about what fans can expect off of that album or the inspiration?
You know what? I hate to be this way, but I think it's just exactly what I've always done. It's there's a couple songs on this record I kind of stepped out of the box on, and I just kind of get bored sometimes and want to do something different and hear something different and sing something different, write something different. So there's a couple things on this record I think that'll throw some people for a loop. It's a little different than what I've done before, but for the most part, it's just really honest, genuine songwriting that I try to present from the right place and give the listeners and the fans, what they have been listening to for years now, and try not to mess with it too much.
Yeah. Is it never enough for you? Are you never quite satisfied?
That's kind of the concept behind the idea. It's just something that I found myself saying a lot over the last, really couple of years. Just so blessed and so lucky, and have gotten to catch so many of these dreams I've been chasing. And the rodeo is a prime example. As phenomenal as it is, the next morning you wake up and the only feeling you have is, all right, well, what's next? And it just kind of seems, it's kind of a thing with myself. I've had to learn to really be happy with where I'm at and enjoy what I'm doing in the moment, and have that nice balance of still staying hungry and hustling and working hard, but don't forget that you got it really good right now, and sometimes that is enough.
Yeah. I remember when, having followed you for a while, you felt like you made it when you sold out the pavilion. And then you felt like you made it when you were named, new artist of the year. And then the rodeo. What's the next like goal for you where you feel like, I've really made it?
I get that question all the time. And I always say the same thing. I say the rodeo was, the biggest thing in my mind. That's really what I was working towards since I was a kid. And so ever since we did that, I've kind of been, I have goals and aspirations and, things that I want to accomplish and get to. But as far as like the big main thing, I really did that. So I think now is really, just trying to make sure that you handle it all the right way and you try to sustain it for a long time, and not just be a drop in the pan of country music, but actually make a mark and have a legitimate career, and do it the right way, and try to help country music stay alive. So that's really, the rodeo was like my big thing. So I'm kind of out of stuff now.
It doesn't seem like you ever have a day off anymore. What do you like to do when you do have a day off?
If I'm back home in Texas, I'll certainly try to get out to the ranch. But I've over the last few years, I've become extremely obsessed with golf. So anytime I can go swing it, I certainly will. And then Hallie Ray and I like to really just hang at the house. We cook dinner all the time. 2 or 3, 4 nights a week that I'm home. If I am home, it's usually just her and I at the house cooking dinner. So that's kind of something that occupies a bit of my time off the road.
You've probably seen how your hometown in Montgomery County has grown tremendously. What do you like to do when you go back to real home, Montgomery County and the Woodlands and Conroe?
Really kind of the same thing. My grandma still lives the same place that they've lived for 100 years. And, I spend a lot of time there with her, and, running around on her land. And then, my dad's side of the family still lives there too. So again, go play golf. The ranch isn't too far away. So anytime I'm back home in Conroe, I usually end up at least one evening up there at the ranch running around. I love to stop in Vernon's Catfish on 105. That's a spot I always try to go in. I love to eat there, have since I was just a little kid. But that town is, people all the time think that I'm from a small town. And when I was a kid, it really was a small town, or smaller. But it's big city living there now.
It sure is. I'm a Vernon's barbecue kind of person, but I like the
Shout out
catfish.
Vernon's barbecue as well.
Yes. Well, I went to a rival high school, the Woodlands High School. I think I'm not old enough to be your mom, I don't think, but College Park hadn't quite started yet when I graduated from the Woodlands High School. So we were from rival high schools though. Well, Parker, it was really great to talk to you. What do you want to say to your fans, ahead of opening night? What do you want them to know?
I mean, they're the sole reason that I've gotten to do this once and getting to do it again. There's nobody else to thank than the fans, right, for selling out last year. And they invited us back last year before we even left that night, which was a tremendous honor for me. But I really try to showcase how grateful, and I call it being intentionally grateful. But like, if they can't tell that that is the greatest thing in my life in that moment, that hour on Tuesday night, then I've not done my job. I mean, they need to feel that from 100 yards away. And I think they will. I get so amped up for that show. There's no other feeling in the world than walking out of that tunnel and walking to that stage and doing that. So I think, if they leave and they say, man, he deserves to be up there, he belongs up there, then that's a win.